Sometime in July of 2021, I took what I now call the world's worst and longest nap. When I finally opened my eyes again, it was early September, and I was lying in a bed I didn't recognize, in a body I could barely command, staring at a ceiling that wasn't mine. Everything I had been, the momentum, the identity, the plans, had been interrupted without my permission. And that's where the real story begins. My world became a puzzle of survival, bound to an oxygen machine, my breaths rationed and precious, every inhalation a conscious effort against the weight sitting on my chest. Shelter was never certain. Each night felt like rolling a dice, not knowing if I'd find a place to lay my head or if I'd be wandering the streets, cold and exposed to the elements. Hunger gnawed at me, a silent companion that sharpened my instincts but dulled my strength. This isn't a comeback story, it's a construction story. And it's still being built. One intentional, resilient, identity-driven block at a time. The uncertainty of my next meal became a constant rumble of thunder on the horizon, always threatening, never quite fading. Between the daunting expense of life-saving medications and the fog of pain, my days folded into each other like gray, overlapping pages of a book I did not want to read. Every aspect of living became a battle, medical, emotional, and material. There was no helping hand reaching into the darkness, no cavalry roaring over the ridge. I looked around and saw nothing but the echo of my own footsteps. I realized there was no white knight astride a magnificent horse coming for me, no magic words to dissolve the hardship. If I were going to rise, I would have to be my own savior, building my wings as I fell. The isolation was as palpable as cold metal confining, but also transformative. It was as if the crucible of adversity took everything soft and fragile inside me and forged it under relentless heat and pressure, turning my resilience into steel. Emotional pain served as a whetstone, honing both my awareness and determination. The journey was far from glamorous. It demanded sweat, tears, and unwavering perseverance. It felt like relearning how to walk after a storm had swept away the very ground beneath me. Over the years, adversity transformed gradually from being a formidable and intimidating shadow lurking at the edge of my comfort zone to becoming a relentless but familiar opponent within the ring, a presence I no longer dreaded, but faced with a sense of unwavering determination. Each difficult moment arrived not simply as an obstacle, but as a profound challenge that beckoned me to step forward and measure the resilience I had painstakingly cultivated within myself. Somewhere along that arduous journey, the daunting unknowns and painful stumbles no longer left me paralyzed. Instead, I began to recognize each hardship as a personalized invitation, a new opportunity to put my inner resources to the test, to see how thoroughly I had forged my character in the crucible of struggle. With every trial, perseverance became something deeper and more permanent, anchored within my core, solid and steadfast, as immovable as the highest mountain peaks that withstand storms year after year without crumbling. My mindset, once fragile and susceptible to cracks from fear and self-doubt, matured and solidified, turning unbreakable and resilient like tempered glass forged under intense pressure. Where uncertainty used to cloud my judgment, clarity and focus emerged, sharpened by repeated exposure to difficult circumstances and the demand to rise above. Much like a blacksmith at his forge, relentless adversity was the hammer that shaped me, striking again and again with heat and force. With every blow, weaknesses within me were gradually pounded away, brittle habits and self-imposed limitations shattered, until only the purest elements of my inner strength remained. Each scar I carry, visible or hidden, stands as a lasting testament to battles not just faced, but survived. They are markers not of defeat, but of the effort, patience, and endurance that victory sometimes demands. The pain endured along the way, instead of breaking me, formed the backbone of my story, transforming every setback into the priceless source of the resolve I possess today. Looking back, I see a landscape dotted with the remnants of past struggles, each hardship as a monument to a lesson learned or a fear conquered. Adversity, once an enemy, has become both mentor and measure, faithfully shaping me trial by trial into someone defined not by avoidance of difficulty, but by my capacity to rise, rebuild, and persist no matter how many times I fall. The sum of all these experiences is a spirit steeled by experience, forged in fire, and forever ready for whatever trial may come next. Through this ongoing process, I have come to be defined not by a life spent evading difficulty or seeking comfort, but by an unwavering capacity to stand again, to piece together the fragments after each fall, and to push forward with a spirit renewed even in the wake of disappointment. With each challenge faced, and each pain weathered, I have become increasingly adept at rebuilding, sometimes starting anew, other times adapting what remains and moving onward with greater wisdom. It took 5 tough years. Every morning felt like a new test to keep going, adjust, and finally succeed. I came out different. Now when I face problems, I don't see them as threats, but as chances to grow and get stronger. That journey had forged my resilience. Time alone sharpened my insight, and facing struggles on my own made me stronger than I ever imagined possible. That's where FiTiQ was born. Not as a fitness brand, not as a productivity hack, but as a framework for rebuilding a life, one modular block at a time. I learned that high performers don't fail because they're weak. They fail because their systems aren't designed for real life, for chaos, for setbacks, for trauma, for the unpredictable nature of being human. The uncertainty of my next meal became a constant rumble of thunder on the horizon, always threatening, never quite fading. Between the daunting expense of life-saving medications and the fog of pain, my days folded into each other like gray, overlapping pages of a book I did not want to read. Every aspect of living became a battle, medical, emotional, and material. FiTiQ is the blueprint I wish I had when I was fighting my way back. A way to move forward without shame. A way to build discipline without punishment. A way to create a future without pretending the past didn't happen.